Congratulations! You finally made it to the second stage of keyboards. That is switches. But it's 2025 and it's not just your regular blue, brown, red switches. There are numbers. There are so many colors, shape and sizes to choose from. But don't you worry, I got you. This is your host Santa and you're watching SantaXP. Well, there are four types of switches: optical, low profile, mechanical, and magnetic. And each of these switches requires a specific keyboard to work on. You can't interchange these switches to a same keyboard. I mean, you can't use optical switch in a mechanical or a magnetic switch in a mechanical supported keyboard. Optical switches uses a beam of light to register a keystroke, while the most known switches are magnetic and mechanical switches. So in a mechanical switch you can see a copper alloy being used to connect with the PCB, while in magnetic it uses magnets to register your keystroke. We have your low profile switches, which is nothing special, just a sandwich version of your switch. Regardless of the switch you select, they come with three main categories: linear, tactile, and clicky. On the surface it might seem similar, but in the inside we can see linear is quite straight going down, where the tactile gives a little bit of bump, and in the clicky it's give a loud sound and a good tactile feedback. Well, there are three core starter switches: red linear, brown tactile, and blue clicky. Think of them as your Gen 1 switches, or for a better comparison, imagine them as Pokemons. They are great starter switches, but their evolution are even better. Now let's take apart our Gen 1 switch and talk about evolution. One could improve the spring and name it something else. Other could change the stem quality and name it something else. And one could improve the housing and make it sound a little better and name it something else. And that's how we have so many switch options in the market today. Now I have two different linear switches. Both looks entirely different, different housing and stem, but both are linear. One is 5 pin and one is 3 pin switch. I have two more switches. One is GTMX tactile switch and the other one is Leoborg Reaper switch, which comes with LED diffuser. Now we need a simple brush with a fine tip, a screwdriver to open up the switch. Now do note that this is a flat driver. Let me focus. Now the tip is flat to open the housing of the switch. There are special tools to open up the switch as well, but I'll make work with this one. And then we need a dielectric grease or a lube, and this is the only cheap alternative I could find on Amazon India. Now why you need to lube your switches? It's just to reduce the friction between the inside parts and make the travel smoother, to give you a good feeling when pressing the switch. Switches also come factory pre-looped, so you might not need to perform this step, but in case you are feeling a little bit of friction and not satisfied, you can always perform this step. Now, after opening the locks, carefully open the switch. Make sure all the parts stays with you, especially the spring which just flew. And now you have access to the internals of the switch. And this is your stem, and make sure to remember the sides of the stem. This side goes against the metal parts of the switch. Make sure you place it correctly, else you might damage the switch. Now simply take the lube, and always remember, in case of switches, less lube is good lube. You can always add more lube, but you can't lessen the lube. So simply brush it against the metal parts and insides of the switch. Use very thin layer, and this lube is also very thick, so make sure you are using in a very less quantity. Rub it against, brush it against the walls of the switch. Don't overdo it. Now this part is not necessary, you don't need to do it. Also apply a very thin layer on the sides of your stem. Remember, don't overdo it. A very thin layer is good layer. Reassemble your switch. Now obviously there are better ways to reassemble. I just suck at this and press it back, and you're done. Now there is one more way to lube your switches, which is a little fast and convenient. You just simply press down the switch, take the lube, and brush it against the walls of the switch from the top, all sides. Just do a thin layer and then press it rapidly to make sure the lube spreads across. Now when choosing the switches, go for the mechanical switches. They have many options available. Go for other switches if you specifically need those or have a requirement for those. Else go with the normal mechanical switches. Now choosing from a category can be a little difficult because it's entirely based on preference on how you like your switches. But for the starters, linears have good sound profile, they are less sounding, have lighter feel when you type, and it's good if you are a very fast typer. Now tactile switches are decent sound and a little louder than linear switches. There are also silent tactiles available in the market which you can try, and it also gives you a good feedback. A good example would be when you press a power button on your mobile phone, you get a little feedback on the click, so it's something similar with the tactile switches. Now comes the abomination clicky switches. They give a very good tactile feedback but are very loud, so it might be not ideal choice if you sit in a quiet place or you sit in a place where you don't want to disturb others. Now there are these numbers, and these values can vary from switch to switch. For operating force is the amount of pressure you need to press a key to make it move. Actuation point is the point at which the key press is recognized by the keyboard, and the total travel distance is the full distance a key can go down when you press it completely. You first need to try some of the switches to know which value you want to reduce or increase, and fine tune your switch preference. Every switch has its own vibe, so don't chase the trends. Find what feels right for you, and if this helped, hit subscribe and drop your favorite switch in the comments, or tell me which one you want me to try next.